Reflection. There's a strange thing about silence. People think it's emptiness, but it's not silence. It's full. It's full of answers. It's full of strength. It's full of self-control. Reflection. The more silent you become, the more powerful you get. Not because you're weak, not because you're scared, but because you've learned that real power doesn't have to announce itself. Reflection. It simply is. When you start walking the path of silence, the first thing that changes is your focus. You stop wasting energy trying to convince the world who you are. Reflection, you stop fighting every rumor, every doubt, every distraction. Instead, you turn inward and suddenly that energy begins to build. You see clearer, think deeper, move wiser. Reflection, silence sharpens your vision like a blade. Then comes self-control. When you can stay silent in the middle of noise. Reflection, when you can keep calm while everyone else is losing themselves. That's mastery. That's when people realize you're not reacting, you're responding. You're not running on emotion, reflection. You're guided by purpose. Every word you don't say becomes a weapon you've chosen not to use. And that's real strength. Through silence, you start to discover inner confidence. Reflection. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to prove your worth. You walk in quiet certainty, knowing that your value doesn't need validation. When you reach that level, reflection, silence becomes your armor. Your peace becomes your protection. Silence also gives you clarity. The world is loud, full of opinions, noise, and chaos. But when you step back and go silent, reflection, the noise fades. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You start to understand what truly matters. In that quiet space, your intuition wakes up. Reflection, and that intuition, that whisper inside you, becomes your greatest guide. The next power silence gives you is discipline, because silence demands control. Reflection. It takes strength to hold your tongue when your pride wants to speak. It takes wisdom to wait when your ego wants to react. Reflection. Every moment you stay silent when it's easier to explode, that's you building muscle, not in your body, but in your mind. When you choose silence, reflection, the first transformation happens deep within your focus. You stop scattering your attention on things that don't build you. You stop chasing people's approval, reflection, and you stop reacting to every comment, every opinion, every moment of noise. In silence, you start to realize that most of the world runs on distraction. People talk too much, argue too much, reflection, explain too much, yet they never move forward. But when you become silent, you pull yourself away from that chaos. You start directing all that wasted energy back toward yourself, reflection, and that's when something powerful begins to shift. You start hearing your own thoughts clearly. You begin to recognize your own voice among the noise of others. Suddenly, reflection, you're not guessing who you are, you know. That's the gift of silence. It gives you space to see the truth about yourself. Reflection, it teaches you to listen to the world without letting the world control you. You begin to notice things you never paid attention to before. Your habits, your emotions, your triggers. Reflection, you start observing how your energy changes depending on who you're around, what you do, and what you allow. This kind of awareness only comes when you stop speaking and start watching. Reflection, when you become silent, your focus becomes sharper than ever. You stop wasting your mind on meaningless arguments and start investing it in your goals, your growth, your future. Reflection, you begin to realize that focus isn't about doing 1,000 things. It's about doing the right thing with full energy. And silence gives you that power. Reflection, it helps you cut through all the mental clutter that's been holding you back. Every time you resist the urge to speak or defend yourself, you preserve energy. Reflection, that energy doesn't vanish. It builds inside you. It turns into drive. It turns into confidence. It turns into quiet strength that others can feel even when you say nothing. Reflection, when your focus is rooted in silence, your actions become intentional. You don't react out of anger. You respond with clarity. You don't rush because others are rushing. You move with purpose. Reflection, silence teaches you patience, and patience sharpens your focus. You learn to wait for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right strike. Reflection. You learn that not every battle deserves your words. Not every situation deserves your reaction. You realize that silence itself can be a statement, a powerful one. As your focus strengthens, reflection, people begin to notice something different about you. They can't explain it, but they can feel it. You're calm, grounded, unbothered. Reflection. You walk into a room and your presence speaks louder than anyone's words. That's the power of silence, fueled focus. It makes you magnetic. It makes you unstoppable. Reflection. Because when your attention is fixed on your purpose, nothing outside of you can disturb what's inside of you. That is the moment silence becomes not just a pause. It becomes your power. Reflection. When you learn to remain silent in moments when your emotions are screaming to be heard, you unlock the real meaning of self-control. Silence is not weakness. It is strength under discipline. Reflection. It is the ability to stay calm when everything around you is trying to pull you out of character. Most people react instantly. They speak before they think. They argue before they understand. Reflection. They fight before they see the bigger picture. But when you choose silence, you rise above that chaos. You take control of yourself in a way that very few ever can. Reflection. There is a quiet power that comes with holding your peace when the world expects you to explode. It's not about fear or avoidance. It's about mastery. You begin to master your emotions, reflection, your words, and your energy. You understand that not every situation deserves a reaction, not every insult deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves your attention. Reflection. Silence becomes your shield, protecting your energy from being drained by people who want to pull you into their noise. You stop reacting to everything and everyone. Reflection, and that's when you truly begin to rule yourself. In silence, you learn that you cannot control the world, but you can control your response to it. Reflection, you realize that control over yourself is the highest form of power. When someone tries to provoke you and you stay calm, you win. Reflection, when life throws pressure at you and you breathe through it, instead of breaking, you win. Every moment of silence in the face of chaos is a victory, not over others, but over your old self. Reflection, that's the kind of control that turns ordinary people into leaders, dreamers into achievers, and thinkers into doors. Through silence, you begin to feel your power grow quietly inside you. Reflection. It's like a fire that burns steady and controlled, never wild, never reckless. You learn to channel your emotions, not be controlled by them. You start moving with purpose. Reflection. Speaking with meaning and acting with wisdom. You begin to realize that silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of strength. It's the pause before greatness. Reflection. The calm before clarity. The stillness before success. Self-control through silence gives you something rare in this world. Peace of mind. When others are fighting to be heard, reflection. You're building strength in the background. When others are wasting time proving a point, you're mastering patience. When others lose themselves in noise, reflection. You're gaining yourself through calm. That's how silence transforms you. It teaches you that real power doesn't come from controlling others, but from controlling yourself. Reflection. And once you can do that, nothing and no one can shake you again. When you walk the path of silence long enough, reflection, something remarkable begins to happen inside you. You develop an inner confidence that cannot be broken. You no longer need to speak loudly to prove who you are, because you already know it. Reflection, you no longer need to shout for validation, because your worth is no longer dependent on noise or attention. Reflection, silence gives birth to a kind of confidence that stands still while the world rushes by, that remains calm even when challenged, that believes deeply even when doubted. Reflection. It's a confidence built not on applause, but on self-awareness. In silence, you meet yourself. You see your flaws without fear and your strengths without arrogance. Reflection. You start to understand that the world's opinions don't define you. Your own belief in yourself does. The quiet moments show you who you truly are when no one's watching. Reflection. And when you understand yourself at that level, no one can shake your foundation. You become grounded, centered, and certain. You move differently. You speak less, but with purpose. Reflection. You walk into rooms with presence, not noise, and that presence commands respect without demanding it. True confidence doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be explained or displayed. Reflection. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you look people in the eye, the way you stay calm when others are trying to provoke you. Reflection. Silence teaches you to be sure of yourself even when the world doubts you. You learn that your power lies not in being understood, but in being authentic. Reflection. You no longer waste time trying to convince anyone of your potential. You let your actions do that. Every time you hold your silence and keep working in the shadows, reflection, your confidence grows stronger. This kind of confidence is rare because it doesn't rely on attention. It relies on alignment. You start to align with your purpose, your faith, your values. Reflection. You no longer chase what's temporary. You invest in what's timeless. You stop competing with others because you realize your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Reflection. Silence helps you break free from the noise of comparison and the need for validation. It gives you peace in knowing that your journey is yours alone. As your inner confidence grows, reflection, so does your power. People will start to notice something different about you. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel it. They'll sense your calmness, your quiet authority, reflection, your certainty. They'll wonder where it comes from, but you'll know it comes from silence. It comes from trusting yourself when the world is loud. Reflection, it comes from standing tall in your truth, even when no one claps for you. That's the kind of confidence that silence builds, not loud, not arrogant, but unshakable. Reflection, a confidence that whispers instead of shouts, that stands firm instead of seeking approval, that says, I don't need to prove anything. Reflection, I already know who I am. That's when your silence becomes not just a habit, reflection, but a source of unstoppable power. Silence has a way of cutting through the fog of confusion and bringing everything into focus. When you step away from the noise of the world, the opinions, reflection, the arguments, the constant flood of voices trying to tell you who you should be, you begin to hear something far more powerful, your own truth. Silence gives you clarity, reflection. And clarity is one of the rarest forms of power in a world full of noise. When everything around you is loud, silence becomes your sanctuary. It's in that quiet that your thoughts settle, reflection, your emotions calm, and your vision clears. You start to see what really matters and what never did. In silence, you begin to separate the real from the illusion. Reflection, you start to notice that most of the noise that fills your mind isn't even your own. It's the world's expectations, fears, and judgments echoing inside you. But when you choose silence, reflection, those echoes fade, and you finally begin to hear your own voice again. You start asking yourself deeper questions. What do I truly want? What am I chasing? What am I running from? Reflection. And in that questioning, you find direction. You realize that clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being still long enough to listen. When you practice silence, reflection, you start observing life instead of rushing through it. You begin to see the patterns in your behavior, the mistakes that repeat, and the habits that hold you back. Reflection. You recognize which people drain your energy and which ones feed your soul. You learn to differentiate between movement and progress, between being busy and being effective. Reflection. That's the power of silence. It reveals the truth hidden behind the noise. It teaches you that most of the answers you've been searching for were always inside you. Reflection. Waiting for you to quiet down and listen. Clarity through silence gives you strength that can't be shaken. You no longer make decisions based on emotion or pressure. Reflection. You make them from a place of peace and understanding. You stop rushing into things out of fear of missing out because you know that what's meant for you will never require panic. Reflection. Silence allows you to think before you act, to see before you move, and to choose before you react. You begin to live with intention, not impulse. And in that clarity, your confidence grows. Reflection, your peace deepens and your power expands. You start trusting your instincts again. Reflection, you stop second guessing yourself because you've learned to listen to that inner voice that only speaks when the world goes quiet. Reflection, that voice, the voice of your intuition, becomes your compass. It guides you through storms, helps you see opportunity in struggle. Reflection, and gives you the courage to stand still when everyone else is running in circles. Silence gives you that gift, the ability to see things as they are, not as they appear. Reflection. It strips away the illusions of fear and doubt and replaces them with understanding. And when your vision becomes clear, your steps become unstoppable. Reflection. That is the kind of clarity that turns silence into power. Discipline is born in silence. It grows in the moments when you choose control over impulse, patience over reaction, reflection, and purpose over pride. When you begin to embrace silence, you begin to train yourself to hold back when the world tells you to lash out, to wait when everything in you wants to rush. Reflection, to think before you speak and act with intention instead of emotion. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is the practice of restraint, reflection, the art of mastering yourself when your emotions want to take the lead. It's in those quiet moments where discipline is built, piece by piece, choice by choice. Reflection, when you remain silent in situations that test your temper, you are building strength that no gym can give you. Every time you stop yourself from reacting immediately, reflection, you are teaching your mind to obey your will. That is discipline, being in control of yourself when circumstances tempt you to lose it. Reflection. Silence teaches you that you don't have to respond to every provocation, you don't have to explain every move, and you don't have to defend your peace to anyone. Reflection. The world will always test your patience, but discipline allows you to stand still when chaos surrounds you. In silence, you begin to understand the value of timing. Reflection. Discipline teaches you that not every moment is meant for action, and not every feeling deserves expression. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to wait, to listen, and to prepare. Reflection. That's what silence gives you. The patience to wait for the right time instead of forcing things before they're ready. And when you move at the right time, your actions carry more weight, reflection, more purpose, and more precision. Discipline through silence also teaches you consistency. It's not just about holding your tongue. It's about holding your focus. Reflection. It's about doing what you said you would do even when no one is watching, even when it's hard, even when your motivation fades. Reflection. Silence helps you stay grounded in your goals because it removes the distractions of noise and opinion. When you stop talking so much about what you're going to do and start doing it quietly, reflection, you begin to see progress. That quiet grind, that unseen effort becomes your foundation. In silence, you also learn the discipline of emotional control. Reflection, you stop giving power to temporary feelings. You stop letting anger, jealousy, or fear dictate your actions. Reflection, you begin to see that discipline isn't just about structure, it's about strength of mind. It's about staying calm when things fall apart, about holding faith when results take time. Reflection, about staying loyal to your purpose when the world doesn't believe in you. Silence is where that kind of discipline is born. Over time, silence reshapes your character. Reflection, you stop needing instant results. You stop seeking recognition. You find peace in the process itself. You learn that progress doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be steady. Reflection, and that steady rhythm of effort, patience, and control turns into an unstoppable force. That's when your silence becomes discipline, and your discipline becomes power. Reflection, because once you can master your mind, your emotions, and your reactions, there is nothing in this world that can master you. Silence carries a kind of mystery that words can never create. Reflection, when you speak less, people start to wonder more. When you stop revealing every thought, every plan, every emotion, you become unpredictable. And in a world where everyone is easy to read, reflection, unpredictability is power. Silence makes you appear composed, confident, and wise, even when you're still figuring things out. It keeps people guessing about your next move. Reflection, and that uncertainty gives you an advantage because mystery attracts attention and silence builds that mystery without effort. When you are silent, reflection, people start noticing things they ignored before. Your expressions, your posture, your calmness. They start questioning what you might be thinking, what you might be planning. Reflection, what you might be capable of. You don't even have to speak to make an impression. Your silence does it for you. Every time you hold back from explaining yourself, you add depth to your presence. Reflection, the less people know, the more they assume, and in that space of assumption lies your influence. You become someone they can't fully read, and that's what keeps their respect. Reflection, mystery born from silence isn't about manipulation, it's about control. It's about protecting your thoughts, your dreams, reflection, and your emotions from those who might not understand or support them. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone has earned the right to know your next step. Reflection, silence allows you to keep your energy sacred and your intentions hidden until the right moment. You stop oversharing and start observing. Reflection, you learn that it's better to surprise the world with your results than to announce your every move. There is a quiet dignity in not explaining yourself. Reflection, you no longer feel the need to justify your decisions or defend your path. You let your actions do the talking. The mystery that silence builds commands respect, not through arrogance, reflection, but through composure. You start to realize that real strength doesn't chase attention, it draws it naturally. Reflection, people are drawn to those who don't speak much but speak meaningfully when they do. It's not the loudest voice that has power. It's the one that knows when to speak and when to stay silent. Reflection, in a noisy world where everyone is competing to be seen, silence becomes your distinction. It sets you apart. While others waste energy proving themselves, you're quietly evolving. Reflection, quietly working, quietly growing. That mystery keeps you focused because you're not distracted by what others think or expect. Reflection, you're guided by something deeper, a calm confidence that doesn't need validation. The power of mystery born from silence is that it keeps your energy intact. Reflection, it prevents others from using your words against you or predicting your next step. You become untouchable because no one knows your full story. Reflection, you become powerful because your silence makes people respect your presence even more. And in the end, the mystery you build through silence becomes your armor, not to hide who you are, reflection, but to protect the strength you're becoming. Silence trains your eyes to see what words often hide. When you stop talking so much, you start paying attention, not just to what people say, reflection, but to what they don't say. You begin to notice the tone behind their words, the hesitation in their voice, the flicker in their eyes. You see beyond the surface. Reflection, observation becomes your new language, and silence becomes the space where understanding grows. You begin to read situations with precision, to sense energy, to pick up truths hidden in plain sight. While others are busy speaking, you are learning. You are studying the patterns that shape people and the motives that drive them. Through silence, reflection, you develop awareness, a deep, sharp awareness that can't be taught in books. You begin to notice the rhythm of the world around you. You see how people move, react, reflection, and reveal themselves without even realizing it. You start recognizing who truly supports you and who only claps when you're winning. You see who drains your energy and who restores it. Reflection, this kind of awareness gives you a power that no degree or title can match, the power of understanding human nature. When you observe, you gain information, and information is strength, flexion. You learn when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to hold back. You no longer walk into situations blind. You move with intention, with precision, and with confidence, reflection, because your silence has taught you to listen deeply. Most people listen to reply. The silent ones listen to understand. That understanding becomes your weapon. It helps you navigate conflicts, reflection, relationships, and opportunities with calm control. Silence makes you wise because it slows the world down. It allows you to see how things connect, how small choices build big outcomes. Reflection, how people's words often reveal their fears, and how truth hides behind noise. You start understanding the subtle cues that most people overlook. The way someone looks away when lying, reflection. The change in energy when tension enters the room, the difference between confidence and arrogance. You begin to see all of it. Flexion. And that awareness makes you powerful because it gives you insight before you act. When you learn to observe, you no longer need to react emotionally. You see situations for what they are, flexion, not for how they make you feel. Observation gives you patience because you understand that silence often reveals more than confrontation ever could. You stop trying to force outcomes. Instead, reflection, you watch, you wait, and you choose your moment. That is what makes silence such a powerful teacher. It doesn't just make you quiet, it makes you intelligent. As your observation grows, reflection, your understanding deepens. You begin to see that the world is an open book for those who know how to read between the lines. Every movement, every pause, every silence holds meaning. Reflection. And once you master that awareness, you walk into every room, not just with presence, but with insight. Reflection. You don't need to dominate conversations to control situations. Your understanding already puts you in command. That's how silence turns observation into power. Flexion, by teaching you to see what others are too distracted to notice. Silence gives birth to peace, and peace is the ultimate form of power. Reflection, when you learn to quiet the noise around you, the opinions, the drama, the expectations, you create a space within yourself that nothing can disturb. That stillness becomes your strength. Flexion, you start realizing that true power isn't about how loudly you speak or how much control you have over others. Reflection, it's about how calm and centered you remain when everything around you is shaking. Silence leads you into that state of inner balance where no chaos can reach you. In silence, reflection, you begin to find peace not because life becomes easier, but because you learn how to stay grounded when it gets harder. Reflection, you start to understand that peace doesn't mean the absence of noise. It means the ability to stay composed in the middle of it. You stop reacting to every small disturbance. Reflection, every negative person, every challenge that tries to steal your calm. You begin to realize that nothing outside of you has the power to control you unless you allow it. Reflection, that realization is freedom. That's power. The more you practice silence, the more you begin to master your emotional world. You no longer get easily offended, angered, or hurt. Reflection, you observe your emotions without becoming them. You respond with reason instead of reaction. You understand that peace is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence at its highest form. Reflection, because when you're at peace, your mind becomes sharper, your heart becomes lighter, and your decisions become clearer. Reflection, that kind of inner harmony allows you to see opportunities where others see problems and to stand tall in moments that make others crumble. Flexion, silence allows your thoughts to settle like calm water after a storm. It's in that stillness that solutions appear, wisdom rises, and creativity awakens. Reflection, you start to hear your intuition more clearly, that quiet voice within that always knows what's right for you. When you live in peace, reflection, you no longer chase after things that don't belong to you. You stop fighting battles that don't matter. You start moving with purpose, reflection, guided by your own calm conviction instead of pressure or fear. Peace born from silence also gives you a kind of strength that can't be shaken by success or failure. Reflection, you learn to stay humble when you win and hopeful when you lose. You don't let the highs make you arrogant or the lows make you hopeless. You stay balanced, steady, reflection, and focused because your peace doesn't depend on circumstances. It comes from within. People will notice you're calm and mistake it for coldness, but it's not. It's maturity, flexion. It's knowing that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on things that don't build you. Over time, that silent-shaped peace becomes your armor. It shields you from negativity, reflection. It protects your focus, and it gives you the power to rise above pettiness, chaos, and noise. The world may try to shake you, provoke you, or distract you, reflection. But when you've mastered the art of silence, you move through it all with grace. You don't just survive storms, you walk through them untouched. Because when you have peace within, reflection, nothing outside can take your power away. And that is when silence transforms into unbreakable strength. the kind that commands respect without demanding it, the kind that leads without noise, reflection, the kind that changes everything without saying a word. So when the world gets loud, when everyone around you is shouting to be seen, rushing to be heard, reflection, fighting to be right, choose silence, stand still, listen, because in that stillness, you'll find yourself rising above the noise. You'll find focus, control, confidence, clarity, reflection, discipline, mystery, awareness, and peace. The 8 pillars of true strength that no one can take from you. Silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you unstoppable. Reflection, it doesn't hide your power. It refines it. The quiet ones don't need to announce what they're becoming. Their growth will speak for them. Their results will echo for them. Reflection, their presence will command the respect their words never had to ask for. So, the next time life tempts you to react, remember this: the lion doesn't roar to prove it's the king. Reflection, it stays calm, it stays still, it observes, and it strikes only when necessary. That's real power. Be that lion, be that calm, be that silence. Because the more silent you become, reflection, the more powerful you get.